Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So, if you're on social media, and if you're not, well done, my job requires me to be on there, you will see a lot of people who seem to be very scared and mistrusting of everything in the world. Doesn't matter what it is, there's some reason they could be scared of it. Now, I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of all the obvious ones, there's all sorts of things over the past few years that you would have thought wouldn't be controversial that ended up being massively controversial. And of course the irony of all of this is these people are scared about control and being lied to and being taken advantage of and all these sorts of things, while that's actually being done to them. But not by the big corporations or anything like that. It's just people who make that sort of content on Facebook. They full well know it's not true, but they do know that a lot of people have fallen for it. And as I say, this builds an amount of distrust in people, and to the point that they can't even use logic to realise why something can't be right, or and it's brought me to this. Tesco's Clubcards. Look, the Tesco's Clubcard, if you're unaware, is a loyalty card. The card itself costs you nothing. You can just apply for it. And then in store, you're going to see offers which apply to regular customers who have the Clubcard. In exchange for using your Clubcard, you gather points and you save up money that they send you in vouchers to spend on your food. So not only is the card free, it gets you discounts, they also give you money back. But I've seen a lot of people getting very uppity saying, see, I'm not trusting this. And you've got people getting all mad in the comments saying about how you have to buy the Clubcard. It's like, no. And then someone said, it'll be a £5 subscription deal soon. Even if it was, that would make no sense, because they give you money back. If you're wondering why Tesco's does this, it's simply to track your purchases so they get to know what shoppers buy. If certain people buy certain things, maybe they're more likely to buy something else. They don't push offers to you or anything like that because you just go into the store. But the point is, there is nothing really inherently bad about this. But as I say, there are many, many people who just seem completely distrusting. And it's not just Tesco's Clubcard, there's a million things we could talk about here, but the Clubcard seems to be a very cut and dry one that, it highlights what I'm trying to say here well. Now you might say, Spicy, it's only online, most people aren't like that, Oh, really? Multiple times I have been in a Tesco's in the self-service line, for instance, and someone's like, oh, it's not the price it's supposed to be, even though it had an A4 sign on it saying Clubcard price. And they're like, oh, well, this is how they get you, isn't it? What do you mean this is how they get you? Well, it's how they get you. I don't know what this getting you is. And I offered this dude to use my Clubcard. I went, just use my Clubcard, it's fine, mate. You'll get your discount, I'll get the points. Win-win. This is a true story, okay? So after this dude said, oh, no, this is how they get you, and I went to use my card, he's like, no. Member of staff comes over, and he's complaining at the fact that it's a Clubcard price, and she just looks at me and went, can he use your Clubcard? I'm like, yeah, I offered just now, but he didn't seem to want it. And they were like, oh, and he was like, oh, well, if you don't mind. And then I scanned his thing, and he got his thing at the price, and I got my points, great, whatever. Officially, you're probably not supposed to do that, but whatever. So yes, they are harvesting your shopping habits data. But the thing that gets me is whenever people complain about things like this, or other things that you see people distrusting, even though they're quite provably or logically, it doesn't make much sense, they all complain about it on social media. And they also probably are doing this from their phone. So you have someone who has a mobile phone and a Facebook account, and maybe other social media accounts, and maybe a Google account, and maybe some apps with tracking software, and all of this stuff, yet it's the Tesco's Clubcard, which was the step too far. I don't get it. I question how much stuff you see online is actually real. Now, as I say, this is where I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, isn't it? I do believe there is a lot of coercion in the world and a lot of manipulation, and there is scenarios where politically things are done to kind of manipulate people and things like that. You can call them false flag events, you can call them, media stunts, misrepresentation of the truth. And I do think that there may be some underlying, evils in the world. The media is one of them. Because this is the thing with the media, right? The media, mainstream media, is one of the most unreliable, most biased things that exists. And it feels like it's trying to coerce certain people in certain directions. As we know, if If you're a Telegraph or a Mail reader or something, you might be one way, or if you're another sort of magazine, or newspaper, you might be another way, inclined politically. Let's not talk about politics. But you know what I'm saying? So you could say, why is it that the media seem to cover certain stories and cover up others? Why do they highlight certain things and not talk about other things? Why do they make certain things entirely, up entirely, while ignoring other things? There is lots of evils in the world that you could genuinely question. But instead, you're questioning if a Tesco's Clubcard is trustworthy. And then I start to think, well, what if the true conspiracy here is that they're covering things up from you by making you waste your time looking at stupid little things like, is a Tesco's Clubcard going to come and kill your kids? I doubt it is. Now, as I say, I'm using the Clubcard here as an example because it's not too, it's not too controversial. Most people can get it. But this applies to lots and lots of things. That's kind of what I wanted to say. It's kind of funny when you see these people who are all up on conspiracies and yet they're chasing down ones which are quite clearly farcical and ignoring the ones that really exist. That are real problems in the world, real major issues, things that the media don't talk about, things that have happened, that sort of stuff. And I do have my gripes with Tesco's, big ones. Obviously it's a big corporation company and they kill independent stores, and you may say, Spicy, well, you're to blame there because, you also use them. Unfortunately, at this point where I live, I don't have much of an option. It's them or one of the other big stores. All the independents closed down years ago. Why was that? It's because they were really, really expensive at the time. And Tesco's obviously undercut them like crazy, and everyone just, you've got to save money where you can. So people use them, and now we're in a situation where there's no independence. Tesco's or the other big stores can charge whatever they want, and as you've seen in recent times, they are charging more and more for food. You'll also notice they're trying to run the stores on less and less staff. Now, of course, a lot of people will say, that's a conspiracy in itself. That's because they're trying to get rid of workers and replace them with self-service machines. And then you get the whole thing of, I won't use a self-service machine, I want to talk to an actual person. And in reality is, that's just... Why is there a push bike dump there? That's just a few people. Most people, especially younger people these days, love self-services because we don't have to interact with other people. It's like, I like going to the shops to chat to the staff. Yes, and that's why it takes so bloody long, because you go there for a chat, not to buy your shopping. It's the same as going to the post office on pension day. I get it. I get OAPs are at home and they want someone to talk to, and I get it. But when you just want to post a letter and it takes you, no word of a lie, 30 minutes to get through 5 or 6 people because they're all just having a chat about how their past 50 years has gone. Yeah, that's where it starts to get a little annoying. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So here's the conspiracy you could answer. Is the reason why the food is going up and the staffing levels going down because they're trying to absolutely maximise profits and squeeze every penny out of every store? Or is it that food's getting that much more expensive that they're trying to keep the prices down by reducing the staffing level? So it's like, look, okay, fine. We might not be as clean, we might not be as professional as we used to be, but at least you get your food at a relatively cheap price. But I don't even think they're necessarily that cheap anymore. But you know what I mean? There is a question. Is that Ed Sheeran? Shit, I'm gonna guess. Because I've worked in supermarkets in the past and I visit my local store regularly, I know that Tesco's is managed and organised by basically idiots. Because if they had any brain, they would actually try and supply people with the things that they want and not keep trying to force different branded deals on people. Like on our local store, they try to replace the cheap pizzas with Tesco's Finest. Like removed all the cheap ones and replaced them with these very strange Tesco's Finest ones. And the weirdest flavoured ones are those as well. And then had to basically throw away and discount an entire shelf's worth continuously for about 3 weeks until they went, oh, okay, no one's going to buy these here. I know, let's get back the other ones. Which they did eventually. So, they learnt in the end. But they do not allow independent stores to have any control over their own stock. For example, my local Tesco's for more than 2 years at this point has sold all of the ingredients you would need to make lasagna. They still do not sell the red sauce for lasagna. They do sell bolognese and they do sell meatball sauce, and if you wish to make a lasagna using one of those two things, go ahead, my friend. And yes, it is very similar in its ingredients, but it is not the same, and I am not going to make a lasagna using meatball sauce. I asked in the store, they told me there is nothing they could do about it. They literally have no ordering control whatsoever. And I'm like, what, you can't even add stuff on or remove stuff that's not working for your store? No. Can your manager? I am the manager. Wow, okay. So I called Tesco's actual customer service, this is quite a long time ago now, and said, they're telling me that they can't actually independently change their ordering for the store, which means that they can't correct this issue. And apparently the reason that this had happened, or something wasn't available, was because some guy hadn't ticked a box or ticked the wrong box in doing his job. Because the guy who decides what's going to be in that store and can make modifications to that doesn't work in that store. Can you see how this as a company is not going to work? It's dumb as hell. Also, some of the modifications Tesco's have done to their packaging, claiming it to be better for the environment, which for Tesco's is completely farcical because they're one of the worst companies when it comes to basically, well, if you give plastic to them and they say they're going to recycle it, it's probably going to end up in a bundle at the side of the road in the middle of God knows where, somewhere in the world, and just get left there to rot. Seriously, look into Tesco's and plastics. They're terrible. There's another thing. I live near the sea, obviously, and the local Tesco's decided, well, they're just going to be everything now, and started selling inflatable paddle boards and little dinghies and things like that. Now, the big Tesco's off the island also did this. However, next to them they did have a range of life jackets. I do not believe you should be buying any boating equipment or anything you use on the sea unless you have full training or an idea of being on the sea. It's an extremely dangerous thing. It is not something to be played with, and people die all the time because of it. What are you doing? Where are you going? See, loads of people would go up the inside there. Don't, because look what's going to happen. Okay, I think we can go. Yeah, knew it. So where was I? Yes, they're selling inflatable boats with life jackets at the bigger store. And they shouldn't be doing that, because you shouldn't be selling something like that unless you get training. Now, the local store on the island, right next to the sea, they are selling them as well. But they don't have any life jackets. Or anyone giving anyone advice. Tesco's, do you know what's going to happen? Or do you know what has happened with people who've come down here, bought one of those on a whim, know nothing about the sea, no life jacket? Yeah, the RNLI have to go and pick them up quite regularly because of your just entirely irresponsible selling of a product. You're idiots. You're actual idiots, and you have no concern for anyone's safety. Whoever up in your board meetings thought, I know, let's start selling inflatable boats to people next to the sea with no training and no life jackets, basically needs punching in the throat. And also I think Tesco's might want to make a pretty hefty little donation to the RNLI, because I can guarantee you they've been out a lot of times because of your idiotic sales. So as I say, there are serious reasons to dislike this store. There are serious reasons to criticise them, and there's less than serious, but it highlights a serious issue for them, which is that they have no organisational skills whatsoever. This is the problem where you have managers and managers and assistant managers and area managers and managing managers, but the people actually doing the job on the storefront have no control whatsoever. And I worked, as I say, for a supermarket shop, and we went from having full control where, you know, I did all the ordering and everything we needed would be there. We wouldn't have to throw things away because the ordering was done at the right level. And then they said, no, not anymore. We're going to get a system to come in place so it automatically orders the things for you. It was one of the worst systems I've ever used, and it never ever learned. Even though we taught it its changes, it would always have the wrong products, the wrong numbers and all that. I'm like, why? This takes me more time and is less effective. Oh, because it's the modern way now. The actual reality of it is they wanted to have full control over ordering of any store. So as I say, there are many things to genuinely be pissed off with Tesco's about. However, I don't feel like the Clubcard is actually one of them. And for the noise that people are making about it and not talking about the other things that they do, just highlights the fact that maybe this is the whole point. Why are you in 2 lanes? So there you go. As I say, I don't want to get into politics or conspiracy theories or any of this stuff. I'm just saying there are real things in this world that you could put that concentration and effort into, but you're not. You're worrying about stuff like that. And it is just the irony of people saying, you know, they're lying to us and they're wasting us time, and, you know, they're pulling the wool over our eyes while you're worried about that and not the bigger issues in hand. I think it says a lot. If you enjoyed the video, smack the like button. If you've got something to add, please do it in the comments. So I'm not looking for political arguments here, but you know, I know what people are like, they don't listen. Discuss, whatever. Thank you for the support of my patrons. I am going to go and get some bike reviews done as soon as the sun comes back out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.